So today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 performing dividend stocks in my M1 Finance portfolio. So we're going to hop on the computer here so you can follow along in real time. And if you're new to this channel, we love talking about dividends and earning them and just going through the process of long-term investing. And I love using M1 Finance for that, and that's what we're going to be looking at here today. If they do interest you and you want to give them a shot, I'll have them linked in the show notes down below as always, and that will actually get you a nice little sign-up bonus when you do a certain amount of deposit, and that ranges anywhere from like a $30 bonus all the way to like a $500 bonus when going through that process. So make sure you check out that link down below if you want to get started with them as well. What we're going to be talking about here today in this portfolio, which is nicely named Dividend Dentist, I do have, just as you know, a caveat on this, I do have some stocks in this portfolio that are not necessarily dividend paying stocks as of yet. Maybe in the future, or maybe down the road, I'll take those and convert them into stocks that pay out dividends. But something to keep in mind when we're going through this is that I've been using this platform for about 3 years, and my goal is to utilize this money in about like 13, 14 years, give or take, so around like 45 years old. And so what I want to do is, focus on the dividend growth that will happen over time, not necessarily the dividends today. So if you actually take a look at my, let's go to here. Oh, yeah, my pies. And what we're going to do is actually take a look and show you my current dividend yield is technically 1.047. So for some people that's fairly low, but my goal is to have these companies paying out, a 10% increase in dividends every year or so, and then that's going to help me increase my yield on cost. Because if I take a look on the dividendtracker.com, which is right here, my yield on cost is actually 1.79. The dividend yield is actually a little bit higher. I had to update some stuff, but my yield on cost is 1.79. So that is with dividends increasing and, companies moving that up without me doing anything more. And honestly, it's one of my favorite things. I love talking about this. In case people don't know, I'm going to go to the news here for Home Depot. So right over here, just as an example, back on in February, Home Depot raised their dividend almost 15.2%. So they went from $1.65 to $1.90. So that extra quarter that I make per share that I own, I have done nothing for. I just get that for having already ownership of those shares. So that's one of my favorite things about dividends. So keep that in mind as we go through this process. Again, we're going to be talking about my 5 best performing dividend stocks, because what I want to do is not only talk about the performance of those stocks, but also the dividends that they paid out have an impact on its overall return. So if we go to our holdings as an example, and we go to the unrealized gains, now Tesla won't count because they are obviously currently not a dividend paying stock, so we're not even going to pay attention to that. But for example, our first one here is Discover. So with Discover, we're looking at 47.97% unrealized gains, which is $480. Now, percentage-wise, it's obviously the best performing dividend stock, but dollar amount is obviously not as much because we don't have as much ownership in it. But they do pay out dividends, but the unrealized gains don't show up, the dividends don't show up in the unrealized gains. So what I want to do is, on M1 Finance, they do have it where on your main side of the portfolio, like this right over here, this number here, is including the dividends you got paid out. Any stocks that you sold for a profit or loss will show up on this number. Now, what we're gonna do is actually go through and look at our overall portfolio. Now, percentages can get a little wonky when it comes to these kind of weighted returns where you're actually including the dividends and you're including everything else that comes with it, because this is money weighted returns. So what we're gonna do is look at the percentages. Now, they might seem kind of off when you're looking at the total deposits and how much it's gained. But that's going to just be helping us determine which ones have been performing the best, and then look at their overall gains as well and see how those all played out. So what we can do is slide down over here to our slices. Now, our growth portfolio has no dividend paying stocks, so we're not even going to worry about that. But then what we want to do is look at all of our other sectors here that we have. You can see some of these percentages are vastly outnumbering others. So we have our tech pie is way outnumbering some of our other performances here. But what we want to do is let's take a look. So if we go in here, we're going to see Microsoft and Apple in our tech slices here. So if we actually go into Apple as an overall, you're going to see right over here towards this bottom part, our total market gains in our all-time is $2,447, and our total earned dividends has been $45.46. So this overall stock has been performing amazingly well, and we've been earning a little bit of dividends. Now, their dividend yield is kind of low, so something to keep in mind, but overall, this has been performing very, very well. And if we go to Microsoft, they are also performing very well. You can see here almost $1,600 in total gains. $58.94 of earned dividends has been part of that equation as well when you take into account everything else, plus how much we got started with at the very beginning. Now, if we go on to our next sector over here, so we're looking at all these percentage-wise. We actually have industries and energy as the next highest percentage that has some dividend stocks in here, and you're gonna be able to see some of these companies. But obviously, the one that stands out the most right now is gonna be Lockheed Martin. Now, with Lockheed Martin, we're actually up about $574, $66 of which has been part of the dividends that we earned from this portfolio, or the stock in general. So you can see a really good amount of dividends coming from this company in comparison to somebody like Apple or Microsoft, where even though the stock has performed very well, the dividends haven't paid out as much. But either way, both of these all three of those stocks so far have done very well. Now, our retail is fairly low in percentage as far as returns. Part of that has to do with Home Depot and Ross both taking massive hits as of lately, which is totally fine because I'm a buy the dip kind of person, so I've been buying more of the dip. But check this out. Costco, I've been loving this stock. I've had this stock since July of 2019, so I've definitely been buying in quite a bit. And look at this. So we have a total gain of $1,183, but about 27.97 cents of that has been earned dividends. So definitely a very small yield of dividend payout, but overall the stock and the dividend have been working together to have this really nice growth. Now, before we continue on, if you're somebody who wants to invest in other means besides just the stock market, maybe something like cryptocurrency, I actually want you to check out the link down below for Coinbase. Coinbase has been pretty popular as of lately when it comes to an exchange for buying cryptocurrency. And the cool thing is, using that link down below, if you go ahead and buy or sell about $100 worth of any crypto, you'll actually get $10 in Bitcoin entirely for free. So it's a really cool way to kind of get started, and they have tons of videos educating you on how cryptocurrency works and the best ways to go about it. So again, check out that link down below for Coinbase. Now, next up here is going to be with our real estate again. Obviously nowhere near the capacity that our tech and even our industries has performed in. But if we go in here, you can see that we have NRZ. And with NRZ, you can see here, we've had a total gain of about almost $300. Now, dollar-wise, maybe not as great of as a performer as some of the others, but if you really consider that if we put in that same dollar amount, we would have seen some really great results with this return. Now, this is the one that's definitely really focused on the dividend side of things, because if you look at our market gain, it's been about almost $170, and our earned dividends has been almost just as equal at $122. So there could be a possibility at one point that we actually earn more dividends from this portfolio than we've earned in performance and unrealized gains. So if that's the case, hey, that's great. If they keep increasing their dividends, that might happen even faster. Hopefully nothing changes on the back end as far as like maybe dividend cuts. But obviously NRZ has definitely been a little bit more of a focus for dividend growth, where then I take that and I reinvest those dividends into other companies in my portfolio. I've actually slowed down on purchasing. My average price is about $9.65 with the stock with about 130 shares. So for this one, I am actually really focused on the dividend side of things, where some of the other stocks we looked at here today are really focused on the other side of things when it comes to, actually having the overall stock itself go up, and then those dividends increasing over time as well. But those are going to be the ones that, based off of the actual percentages, you're going to see, the actual growth from not just the gains on the actual market, but the dividends having an impact on that as well. Because for realty income, if you don't actually take in account right over here the dividends, obviously this gain would be much, much smaller. So dividends can have a huge impact on the overall return that you get from your dividends as a whole. Now, I want to hear from you. What is maybe your top 1 or 2 best performing dividend stocks in your portfolio? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit that like button as well, as it helps out the channel. Now, I'll play another video right over here for you so you can keep on learning and growing with your investing. My name is Dennis, and I'll see you in that next video.